Hey there, welcome to my channel. I'm here to help you relax tonight. Though before you get too cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. Let's enjoy the story. If you ever find yourself alone on a train platform at midnight and the announcements suddenly sound like they're talking about you, just leave. Doesn't matter if you already paid for the ticket, doesn't matter if it's the last train of the night. Get out of the station and walk. Call a ride. Sleep on a bench somewhere else. Because there's one night at a station that messed with my head so badly that even now, just hearing that "mind the gap" voice makes my skin crawl. This happened to me last year when I was still living at my old apartment, back when money was tight and the train was basically my lifeline. It was a Wednesday, one of those long, dragging days where everything runs late. I was working at this small warehouse on the edge of the city. The kind of job where the clock seems to move slower the more you stare at it. My shift was supposed to end at 9 p.m. Around 8:40, my supervisor told me they just needed a quick hand with a late delivery. That quick hand turned into almost an extra hour of hauling boxes. By the time they finally let me go, it was past 10:30, and my legs already felt like they'd been swapped out for concrete. I checked the train app as I walked out of the warehouse. The station was about a 15-minute walk away. There were two trains left on my line. 10:55 p.m., 11:25 p.m., last one. If I walked fast, I could still make the 10:55. The air outside was cold enough to hurt my nose when I inhaled. The industrial area around the warehouse was dead quiet. No cars, no people, just weird, echoey sounds from somewhere far off. I picked up the pace, half jogging through the dimly lit streets, cutting across a parking lot to shave off a minute or two. I got to the station clock at 10:54 p.m. I was literally walking down the stairs to the platform when I heard that awful noise, the fading screech of a train pulling away. I turned the corner just in time to see my line disappear into the tunnel, taillights shrinking into the dark. The platform display flicked from "due" to "departed" right in front of me. I just stood there, out of breath, staring at it. "Perfect," I muttered. "Just perfect." The station wasn't one of the big central ones. It was smaller, more local. 3 platforms, low ceiling, old tiles. The kind of place that feels a bit forgotten even during the day. At that time of night, it felt like a liminal space. Too bright to be cozy, too empty to feel safe. There were only 3 people on the platform when I arrived. Some guy in a beanie, sitting hunched over on a bench, eyes glued to his phone. A woman in a long coat, sipping from a paper cup, pacing back and forth like she was trying to stay warm. And an older man leaning on a cane, staring down the tracks like he was waiting for something that was already late. They all looked normal. They all looked tired. I dropped onto an empty bench, dropped my backpack at my feet, and checked the display. Next train, 11:25 p.m. On time. Okay, half an hour. Annoying, but manageable. I pulled out my phone. Battery at 13%. Signal, 1 bar, flickering in and out. The Wi-Fi symbol popped up, then disappeared. Then popped up again. Radio silence from the world. I tried to scroll through social media anyway, even though nothing was loading. Habit, I guess. Something to distract myself from how quiet the platform felt. Every tiny sound was suddenly louder. The flicker buzz of one of the overhead lights, the faint echo of a train way off in the distance on some other line, the rustle of the woman's coat as she kept pacing. I checked the platform clock. 10:58 p.m. I swear, I watched that thing for at least 15 minutes. When I checked again, it said 10:59. I frowned and pulled my phone back out, checking the time there. 10:59. Okay, maybe it just felt longer because I was being dramatic. Fine. I put in one earbud and opened some music I'd downloaded. No streaming needed. I let a playlist run, staring at the ground, shoulders slumping as the day finally started to hit me fully. At some point, I closed my eyes for just a second. When I opened them, the platform felt different. Not louder, not quieter, just wrong in a way I couldn't put my finger on. Same 3 people, same lights, same flickering display. But the air felt thicker, like the humidity had jumped 20% out of nowhere. I pulled my phone out again. 10:57. I actually laughed, a short, humorless sound. "That can't be right," I said under my breath. I was sure I'd been sitting there for at least 10 minutes with the music playing. I checked my music app. 3 songs had played. Total time, about 11 minutes. So how was it earlier? I looked up at the platform clock. 10:57. The minute hand hadn't moved back. It was in the same place it'd been before. I tried to brush it off. Probably just zoned out earlier, I told myself. Then I glanced at the overhead display. Next train, 11:25 p.m. On time. Under that, a second line appeared, like it was loading something. Previous train, 10:55 p.m. Departed, 10:49. I blanked. Departed 10:49? No, it left at 10:54 something. I'd been there. I saw it. The number flickered like an old alarm clock. Departed 10:49. Departed 10:52. Departed 10:55. Then it cleared, and that line vanished completely. The guy in the beanie didn't look up. The woman kept casing. The older man kept staring down the tracks. "Did you guys see that?" I almost asked. Except the words stuck in my throat, because it suddenly felt like if I said anything out loud, something would answer me that I didn't want to hear. A new announcement crackled through the speakers. "Attention passengers," the usual flat female voice said. "The 11:25 service to eastbound is running on time. Please wait behind the yellow line." Normal. Then, after a second of static, the voice came back. "Attention, you on platform 3. Yes, you. Do not leave the platform." My blood went cold. I glanced around. The guy in the beanie didn't react. The woman kept pacing. The older man shifted his weight a little, but didn't look up at the speakers. Did you hear that?" I whispered. Nobody answered. The announcement crackled again, back to its usual pre-recorded rhythm. "Please stand clear of the edge of the platform." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding and forced a laugh. "Okay, I'm just tired," I said quietly, more to myself than anything. "Hearing things, long day, it's whatever." The older man finally moved. He turned his head slowly and looked right at me. His face was lined in that way that comes from more than just age, the kind of tired that lives in your bones. "You heard it," he said. Not a question, a statement. I stared at him. "You didn't?" I asked. He studied me for a second, then gave this small, almost sympathetic smile. "They don't always hear it the first time," he said. "Consider yourself unlucky." "Unlucky," I repeated. "For what?" He tapped his cane against the ground, once, lightly. "For being noticed," he said. "By the place." I didn't like the way he said, "the place." Not this station, not this line, just the place. Like it was something with a mind. I shifted uncomfortably. "You work here or something?" I asked, trying to lighten the mood. "You sound like you've got the script ready." He chuckled quietly. "No," he said. "I used to travel through here a lot, though. Late. Last trains, missed trains. You'll learn things when you stay after the crowds go home." "Like what?" I asked. He looked past me, down the far end of the platform, like he was remembering something he'd rather forget. "Like how, sometimes, past a certain time, "This isn't just a stop on a map anymore," he said. "It's a crossing, a place that doesn't really like empty space, so it fills it with people, with versions of people." He looked back at me. "How long do you think you've been sitting here?" he asked. "Maybe 15, 20 minutes," I said. He nodded toward the clock. I turned. 10:56 p.m. I swallowed. "That's wrong," I said. "The clock's broken, that's all." "That's what I told myself the first night," he said, voice soft. "Messed with the time, didn't it? Restarted the wait. They don't like you slipping out of your slot, so they put you back." "Who is they?" I asked, frustration creeping into my tone. "You talk like the station's alive or something." He smiled again, that sad, knowing smile. "You'll understand before you leave," he said. He said before you leave, not if you leave. For some reason, that detail bothered me more than anything. I decided to try something simple. I switched my phone off and back on, just to see what time it would show when it rebooted. The screen went black, the logo appeared, spinner, home screen. Time 10:55 p.m. I felt my stomach flip. No notifications, even though I knew I had some earlier. No messages, like my phone had reset to before I even walked into the station. I checked my messages manually. There was a chat from my friend Mark from earlier that afternoon. "You coming on Saturday or bailing again? Don't ghost this time, man." Right under it, a draft response I didn't remember typing. "Can't, might be stuck at the station again." I hadn't written that. I hadn't even opened his chat since lunchtime. I stared at the words for a long second, then finally just held down the power button until the screen went dark again. Forget it. If the station wanted to play with my head, I wasn't going to give it a screen to use. I shoved the phone deep into my pocket and looked up. The beanie guy was gone. I hadn't heard him leave. I hadn't seen him walk away. He just wasn't there anymore. The woman was still pacing, but her steps were slower now, more dragged out. The older man was still watching me. "You should sit further from the edge," he said casually, like talking about the weather. "I'm nowhere near the edge," I said, but I glanced down anyway. My toes were almost touching the yellow line. I was sure I'd been sitting a safe distance away a moment ago. I scooted back on the bench until my knees hit the metal. Behind me, an announcement started again. "Attention passengers," the voice said. "For your safety, do not stand close to the edge. Do not lean over the tracks. Do not attempt to leave the platform." That last part wasn't normal. I turned my head slowly toward the stairs that led up to the exit. They looked farther away than they had when I walked in, like the platform had stretched. I forced myself to stand up. My legs felt heavy. "I'm just gonna go upstairs and wait near the ticket machines or something," I said. "More light, less creepy." The older man shook his head. "If it told you not to leave the platform, you probably shouldn't," he said. "That's exactly why I want to," I fired back. He didn't stop me, though. I picked up my backpack and started walking toward the stairs. Each step felt like pushing through water. Not physically hard, just wrong, like the air thickened in front of me. The woman in the coat paused her pacing, watching me with wide eyes like she was about to say something. Then she looked up at the speaker above us and shut her mouth. I reached the bottom step. The overhead lights here flickered so hard they practically strobed. I put one foot on the first stair. The second my shoe hit it, the announcement voice blared, louder this time. "Do not leave the platform," it said, the words sharper. "You are not clear to exit. Return to the waiting area." My hand grabbed the railing, knuckles white. I turned back to the platform. For a split second, the whole thing looked different. Same shape, same structure, but instead of 3 people, it was full, packed. Men, women, kids, all standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, lining the entire length of the platform, all facing me. None of them moved. None of them blinked. Their faces were wrong. Not bloody, not disfigured, just slightly out of focus. Like I was looking at them through dirty glass. I blinked hard. When my eyes opened again, the platform was almost empty like before. Just the woman, just the older man, just me. I stepped back down off the stair, legs shaking. "All right," I said, voice trembling. "Okay, fine, I'll stay." "That's probably best," the older man said. "Why?" I snapped. "Why can't I leave? What is this?" He exhaled slowly, adjusting his grip on the cane. "Think of it like this," he said. "You're on a track now. You stepped into the pattern. The place doesn't like loose threads. Once you're part of the delay, you ride it out. If you try to jump off early, it notices. And when it notices, it tries to keep you here." "For how long?" I asked. He looked sad. "As long as it takes you to listen," he said. I sat back down, my heart pounding. "Listen to what?" I asked. He tilted his head, as if hearing something only he could hear. "To yourself," he said, "to what you've been ignoring." That made even less sense. "What does that have to do with a train schedule that can't count?" I asked. He chuckled. "You think this is about trains?" he said. "No, the trains are just how it arranges people. Who leaves, who stays, who gets stuck." I rubbed my face with both hands. "This is insane," I muttered. "Probably," he said. The woman in the coat finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, like she was afraid of being overheard. "How many times have you done this?" she asked him. He thought about it for a moment. "Enough," he said. "Too many, maybe. I always end up back at the same platform, same time, same choice." "What choice?" I asked. He looked at me. "Whether to get on," he said. A chill ran down my spine. "The 11:25?" I asked. He nodded. More time passed, or at least it felt like it. I didn't dare look at the clock again at first. The lights hummed. The woman's footsteps echoed as she paced. Somewhere far down the tunnel, a drip of water hit the ground every few seconds. The station smelled like old dust and metal and something else I couldn't name. After a while, the announcement chimed again. "Attention passengers," the voice said. "The 11:25 service to eastbound is now approaching Platform 3. Please stand clear of the edge." I hadn't heard the usual rumble that comes before a train. No headlight in the tunnel. But the air shifted like a train was pushing it forward. I finally forced myself to look at the clock. 11:24 p.m. I checked my phone, which I'd turned back on without really deciding to. 11:24 p.m. Battery 9%. No new messages, no missed calls. Like nobody out there remembered I existed for the last hour. The woman stopped pacing and moved closer to the yellow line, staring down the track. The older man stayed where he was, watching me instead. "You'll want to decide now," he said. "Decide what?" I asked, even though I knew. "To get on or to stay," he said. "Just don't stand in the middle. The place hates indecision." A distant light finally appeared in the tunnel. My heart rate jumped. As the train got closer, something felt off. The sound was muted. The vibrations under my feet weren't as strong as they should have been. The train slid into the station like it was moving underwater. Same type, same color, same logo on the side as the usual ones. but all the windows were dark. No passengers, no standing silhouettes. When it stopped, the doors opened with a soft hiss. No one got off. The woman stepped toward the nearest door like she was being pulled. I reached out on instinct. "Hey, maybe we should wait. This one feels—" She shook her head. "I've waited enough," she said. "I missed too many chances already. I'm not missing this one." She stepped onto the train. As she crossed the gap, there was a split second where her whole body blurred like bad reception on an old TV. Then she was inside, walking down the aisle. She didn't look back. "Is that safe?" I asked, voice barely above a whisper. The older man shrugged one shoulder. "For her?" he said. "Maybe, if that's her train." "How do I know if it's mine?" I asked. He looked at the open door in front of us. "It's not," he said simply. I stared at him. "How can you possibly know that?" I asked. He nodded toward the interior of the train. "Look inside," he said. "Really look." I stepped closer to the door and peered in. At first, it looked like any other empty car. Seats, poles, ad posters. Then, slowly, I realized something was off. Every few rows, there was something. A bag on a seat with no owner, a single shoe in the aisle, a jacket crumpled in the corner. Little traces of people. Nothing dramatic, just abandoned. If I squinted, I thought I saw faint shapes in the seats, like the air itself was thicker in some spots. Then, way at the far end of the car, just before the next door, I saw him. A guy sitting with his head in his hands, elbows on his knees. Same jacket as me, same backpack at his feet, same posture. It was like looking at myself from behind. Before I could process that, the announcement voice spoke directly above my head. "Passenger on platform 3, it said, you are not ready, do not board this service." The words sent a tremor through my chest. I stumbled back. The older man nodded, as if that confirmed something for him. "It's trying to move her along," he said quietly. "It's trying to move you along too, but not on that one." "Where does that train go?" I asked, throat dry. He hesitated. "Somewhere you can live the same day over and over without ever realizing you're repeating it," he said. "You won't be miserable. You won't be happy. You'll just drift." The doors beeped. The woman found a seat near the middle of the car and sat down, hands folded in her lap. The train pulled away without the usual jolt, sliding into the tunnel until the last car vanished. Then the sounds rushed back in. The distant traffic outside, the hum of other trains, the faint buzz of the lights. The platform felt slightly emptier, slightly bigger. I looked at the older man. "So what happens now?" I asked. He leaned heavier on his cane. "Now you wait," he said, "until the one that's meant for you arrives." I laughed weakly. "How many trains are there?" I asked. He looked tired. "Enough to cover every way of wasting your life," he said. Time got strange after that. I'd stop paying attention for a few seconds, and when I looked back, the clock would say the same time as before. Other times, I'd feel like I'd only blinked, and 5 minutes would be gone. More people appeared on the platform from time to time. A teenager with headphones who kept checking his watch, a middle-aged guy in a work uniform, yawning like he'd been awake for days, a girl with smeared mascara, eyes red like she'd been crying. Some of them stood near the edge, some sat, some paced like the woman had before. None of them looked directly at me. I caught bits of conversations. "Just missed the last one, can you believe it? Boss kept me late again, what else is new? I'm fine, I said I'm fine, stop asking." Normal stuff, stress, complaints, the usual junk people carry around every day. But the more people showed up, the less real they felt. I'd look away for a moment, and when I turned back, someone would be gone. No footsteps, no doors opening, just gone. Every so often, a train would come. Different cars, different sound, different energy. Sometimes the announcement would say nothing special. Sometimes it would add something weird. Passengers with unfinished arguments, please board now. Passengers who already know they won't change, this service is for you. Passengers who prefer not to remember, doors are closing. Each time, a few people would get on. Each time, the older man stayed where he was. Each time, I stayed too. At some point, I realized I was no longer hearing trains on the other platforms. No distant screeches, no chimes, just our platform, just our trains. I finally turned to the older man. "What are you waiting for?" I asked. "What's your train?" He stared at the tracks for a long time. "One that doesn't feel like punishment or escape," he said eventually. "One that feels like a choice." "Have you seen it yet?" I asked. He smiled sadly. "Maybe," he said. "Maybe I talked myself out of it every time it stopped." I don't know how long passed before the next one came. I only know that when it did, everything felt different. No announcement at first, no build-up hum. Just a sudden awareness that something was approaching, like feeling someone enter a room behind you without hearing the door. The air cooled. The lights above us dimmed slightly, then steadied. The clock read 11:25 p.m. again. My phone, when I checked it, also said 11:25 p.m. Battery at 6%. The older man straightened up as much as his back allowed. "Here we go," he murmured. I watched the tunnel. A train rolled in, slower than usual. The windows weren't black this time. They showed something, but not the inside of the car. They showed scenes. Not like a movie, more like reflections in glass. In one window, I saw myself sitting at my kitchen table, staring at my phone, ignoring a call from my mom because I was too tired to deal with it. In another, I saw myself skipping my best friend's birthday because I didn't feel like making the trip across town. In another, I saw myself at work, saying, "Yeah, sure, I can stay late," when I really wanted to say no. Little moments, nothing dramatic. No car crashes, no fights. Just tiny decisions where I chose the easy, quiet option over actually living my life. My chest tightened. "What is this?" I whispered. "Highlights reel," the older man said softly. "The place likes to show you how you got here." The doors opened. The announcement finally spoke. "Attention, passenger," it said. "Service now arriving for those who are ready to stop drifting. Boarding this train means leaving as you are. Remaining means repeating this platform. Choose." My throat went dry. "This one's for you," the older man said. "Not for me." "How do you know?" I asked. He nodded toward the windows. "Because it's not showing me," he said. "Only you." I stepped closer to the train. Up close, the reflections shifted. I saw myself quitting jobs, then going back, apologizing, saying I can't afford to risk it. I saw myself staying home when friends asked me out. I saw unread messages piling up on my phone from people I kept meaning to respond to later. Every scene ended the same way, me alone. Not crying, not raging, just sitting there, scrolling, existing. No sound came from the windows. No one else appeared in them. "Boarding this train means leaving as you are," the announcement had said. What did that mean? If I got on, would I get dumped somewhere different? Would I actually change? Or would it just be another kind of trap? I turned to the older man. "What happens if I don't get on?" I asked. He looked at the tracks. You wait, he said. You keep waiting. The place keeps showing you versions of yourself until you can't tell which ones were real and which ones were trains. My hands were shaking. The doors started to beep, warning they'd close soon. Come with me, I said suddenly. The words surprised me as much as him. Get on with me, I said. You've been here longer. You said you've seen this before. Help me not mess it up. He gave me this look, sad, grateful, and tired all at once. I can't, he said. This one isn't mine. If I get on your train, it'll just throw me back, maybe somewhere worse. I made my choices before you ever came here. Then what do I do? I asked. He smiled faintly. Do the thing you never do, he said. Act before you talk yourself out of it. The doors beeped again. Something in my chest snapped. I stepped forward. The moment my foot crossed the gap, I felt it. Not a physical jolt, more like a shift in gravity. For a second, it felt like the floor wasn't under me, like I was stepping off a ledge into empty air. Then my shoe hit solid ground inside the train. The world didn't explode, nobody screamed. I turned around, heart hammering, and looked back at the platform. The older man stood where he'd been, one hand resting on his cane. He raised the other hand in a small wave. Don't come back, he said. The doors slid shut. The announcement spoke one last time. Passenger acknowledged, it said, adjusting route. The train began to move. As it pulled away from the station, I watched the platform through the window. For a moment, I saw people, so many people, standing shoulder to shoulder where I'd been, all frozen, all watching me go. Then they flickered and vanished, leaving only the older man alone again. Then he flickered too, and the platform was empty. The tunnel outside looked like any other tunnel. Concrete walls, occasional lights. The interior of the car felt normal. No weird passengers, no strange objects on the seats. Just me, breathing too fast, gripping the poles so tight my fingers hurt. I checked my phone. 11:26 p.m. Battery at 4%. 3 new messages from my mom, time-stamped over the last week, that I swear weren't there earlier. Hey, call me when you're free. Can't wait to see you Sunday. Haven't heard from you in a few days. Everything okay? I stared at the texts. Then I did something I hadn't done in too long. I called her. The phone rang once, twice. Then she picked up, sounding a little surprised. Hello? She said. Hey, it's me, I said. Just wanted to hear your voice. There was a pause. You okay? She asked. You sound weird. I laughed, a shaky, real laugh. Long night, I said. I'll tell you about it sometime. Just wanted to say I'm still here. We talked for a few minutes. Nothing deep, just small things. But it felt like my brain was slowly realigning with the world. When I hung up, the train was slowing. I looked up. We were pulling into a station. It looked familiar. The sign on the wall said the name of the stop I actually needed, spelled correctly, no flickering. People were standing on the platform, checking their phones, chatting, yawning. Normal. The doors opened with a chime I'd heard 1,000 times before. For a second, I hesitated. Then I stepped out. This time, my foot hit the platform with no strange shift, no vertigo. Just solid ground. I walked up the stairs. The air got colder, then warmer, then filled with the smell of street food and exhaust and late-night city life. When I emerged onto the street, everything looked the way it should. Cars, people, a distant siren. I checked the time. 11:32 p.m. My whole body felt heavy and weird, like I'd been crying for an hour, even though I hadn't. I made it home. I slept terribly that night, waking up every couple of hours, convinced I'd find myself back on that platform when I opened my eyes. I didn't. In the weeks after, little things started to change. I started saying no when my boss tried to guilt trip me into extra shifts. I started answering messages sooner instead of letting them pile up. I went to see my mom more. Nothing dramatic. No big life movie moments. Just small choices where, instead of drifting, I actually chose. I avoided that station for a while. Took buses, walked farther, changed lines. Eventually, though, I had to pass through it again. Life doesn't rearrange itself around your trauma. The first time I walked back in, my heart was racing so hard my hands shook. But the platform was just a platform. Kids messing around near the ticket machines, someone blasting music too loud through their earbuds, a couple arguing quietly near the stairs. The clock moved normally. The announcements were boring and generic. No one said my name. No one told me not to leave. Sometimes, late at night, when I'm stupid enough to check, the app still shows that station as one of my usual stops. But every now and then, just for a split second, I'll see something else. The time of the last train gets replaced by a line of text that doesn't belong. Platform 3, pending, waiting passenger 1. Then it blinks and it's gone. Sometimes when I'm sitting on a train, half asleep, I'll glance out the window as we pass a station and swear I see him. The older man, standing near the yellow line, watching the trains come and go. Sometimes he looks older. Sometimes younger. Sometimes he's not using a cane. Sometimes he is. Always alone. Always waiting. I don't know if he's still stuck there, or if that's just how my brain decided to remember him. I just know this. If you ever miss a train late at night and the station suddenly feels like it's paying attention to you, if the clocks stop making sense and the announcements start sounding personal, don't assume it's just your imagination. And if a train shows you your own life in the windows, all the little ways you've been drifting instead of choosing, think very carefully before you get on. Not every full train is taking people home. Some of them are just collecting passengers who don't realize they've been standing on the same platform for years.